In this episode of Testimony, a Musician's Story presented by Sound Seekers, rapper Raw B shares his Christian testimony. He talks about growing up with addicts as parents, being homeless at 15 years old, and being molested as a teen by a female pastor who took him in off the streets. Additionally, he breaks down expectations, no ceiling, like Tom, and Soda and Vodka featuring 350 in the four-song breakdown. I am Galika Brown, and this is Sound Seekers Presents Testimony, a Musician's Story. And let's first start with your first music memory, whether it be a song or music video, your first recollection
hmm
of music.
So my first recollection of music was my dad. So he would always be playing Red Hot Chili Peppers, Motley Crue, like it was a lot of rock stuff. And
Mhm.
my grandparents, I think they're actually still in a band. They used to do gigs out in California, and they're in a band called Ellipse. So my grandma and my grandpa would be playing in this band, and every once in a while they would use us, me and my brother, as roadies to set up for them and stuff. So that was like my beginning roots of like being like, oh shoot, like this is really tight, and it sparked my interest, and I started playing guitar. I started messing around with that, and my grandpa was actually teaching me how to play guitar, so that was really fun.
Sweet. So then you come from a musical family.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome. So where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Grants Pass, Oregon. So it's a super small town in Southern Oregon. Um, just like very small city in the woods, kind of. Shout out to the people in Grants Pass watching. But yeah, very very small town, very humble beginnings. And then I moved up to Portland later on, but now I'm
So
here in Atlanta.
is Portland the biggest city that was close to where you grew up?
Yeah, so Portland is at the top of Oregon, so you'd have to drive like 4 hours from Grants Pass to get to Portland.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And did you have any siblings? Oh, you said your
Yes.
brother.
Yeah. I have a full brother. His name is Sydney, and he's a little rascal, but I love him.
And did you grow up in a two-parent household?
No, I my parents ended up splitting when I was 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your music, I mean, you talked about like growing up in a trailer park and your parents leaving you.
Yes.
Where does all that fall into place?
So that ended up happening after my parents split. When they were together, we were actually living in like a regular house, and it was awesome. We were out in like Sunny Valley for a little bit, and after they split, a custody battle went down to where I was visiting my mom, and then I was visiting my dad. And it was a pretty brutal one because my mom kept on just going from place to place, and we ended up, living in a trailer out in like Wolf Creek somewhere, and then they just kept on going back and forth to the point where my mom eventually took me and my little brother out to Reno, Nevada, as kind of like trying to escape. In the midst of all that, she had multiple other kids. So there was a lot of mouths to feed, and we were basically going. At that point, she couldn't maintain a job because she was addicted to meth, and so we were going in and out of like shelters, into missions to go eat, and sleeping basically at the homeless shelters. So it was really rough. And then my dad ended up coming and picking us up later. So I was like 7 when that happened. So it went on for like 2 years.
Okay, so when you were doing the on the streets with your mom, and you said she had other kids as well.
Yeah.
How many other half siblings do you have?
They keep on popping up through Facebook. Like they reach out to me and stuff. The three I met three of them when they were, being born and stuff. I have relationships with them, still speak with them, through Facebook and social media. But yeah, I have apparently another three other siblings. So in total, I have like seven. Wait, yeah, like 7 or 8 siblings.
Oh,
Six of them, 7 on my mom's side, and then 2 on my dad's side. Wait, no, 6 of them on my mom's side, 2 on my dad's side. It's kind of hard to keep track,
yeah.
but
No, I mean, if they're coming up, popping up, I would imagine it being hard to
yeah,
keep track.
yeah, for real.
And when your mom was doing meth, you're like a kid, so were you even aware of her addiction problem?
Nah, nah. I honestly, I wasn't aware at all. I was just, um, just doing my thing as like a kid. You're so like just pure at heart, and you're kind of just doing your thing with what you have, playing with toys and stuff. Probably caught on a little bit with the, some of the domestic violence that was going on between her and my like stepdad and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, overall, I was just like completely oblivious.
And so your father comes in, and you and your brother end up living with your father for the remainder of your childhood?
For the most part. So my dad comes and picks me and my little brother up, and we end up living with him and his girlfriend out in Grants Pass. So something went down after they got engaged, and some domestic violence happened. My dad ended up, you know, throwing her down, and her 2 older sons, like 17 and 18, they came through and they beat the crap out of my dad. And I literally like was sitting there like watching it happen. They like cracked his ribs and stuff. And I was like 8 at that time. I was just learning how to skateboard, just getting into the neighborhood and learning like some friends' names. And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, that happens. And so they took him to jail for a little bit, and then he came back. We ended up moving in with an older woman that he was a friend of. Kind of like a sugar mama situation. It was kind of awkward at first because she was a lot older than he was, but she ended up taking us all in, and she literally took care of us up until I was like around 9 or 10. Or about nine years old, and then dad finally got on his feet, got a job. We ended up renting a few houses out in Grants Pass. Eventually moved out to Merlin in a trailer where he officially bought property. So after that ended up happening, my dad was kind of spiraling in alcoholism.
Mm.
He was going downhill pretty bad, to the point where me and him started getting into it. And this is a couple years down the road. I'm playing football. I kind of said nah to skateboarding because we're out in the country now. Skateboarding was one of my hobbies. I really loved doing that. So I was like super sad that we moved out to the country. But I started playing football and stuff. I actually got pretty good at it. I was starting quarterback and stuff. And I started learning how to rap in that trailer, just writing rhymes and stuff down, and kind of letting my heart go. And me and him just started butting heads, and I think it's because I started getting testosterone and just started
Mm.
growing up, working out, and getting big and feeling a little bit cocky. And I also kind of held like some sort of anger for them splitting up, because I always wanted a mother figure in my life, and the older lady, her name is Laura. I was looking up to her as that mother figure, but it got to a point where me and my dad, like, we ended up getting into a fist fight, and he ended up kicking me out of his house at like 15 years old. So I ended up homeless again.
Oh no.
So yeah,
So you're 15 and homeless. How
yes.
do you survive?
So 15 and homeless, I survived with the relationships I made through my friends at school. So a lot of the football homies would let me sleep on their couch, and I was going to youth group at the time, and I was just kind of going there because my friends were going. I didn't really have a relationship with God really. But I ended up, staying with my homie Randy. He brought me into youth group and stuff, and his family ended up actually taking me in off the streets at 15. I was homeless for like a good 2-3 weeks, kind of just couch surfing and doing my own thing. I didn't have anything though. I had just the clothes on my back and my skateboard, kind of just mobbing around. But I ended up finally getting my stuff back and moving in with them.
Wow. Okay. So is that where you spent the like remainder of high school with your
Yeah.
friends and family? Okay.
Yes. So that's where I ended up getting saved. And I actually talk about what happened with this family in my next track. The family that I moved in with, they're pastors of a church. And I know I'm just dropping a lot of heavy stuff right now. But she's a pastor. She's a youth pastor. Her husband's a pastor. And I end up moving with them. 15. I get diagnosed with depression because I'm just like sad over what's all going on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Feeling like I'm
Things to
lost.
with.
Yeah. And I ended up, getting on Zoloft and just taking that every day. And 16 comes around. I'm getting really good at football. I'm thriving. It's like I believe it's like my junior year. And towards the end of the football season, something changed with the relationship between this person that was taking care of me and myself. She ended up actually coming on to me.
Mm.
Um,
The,
and
the pastor woman?
yeah,
Okay.
so she ended up coming on to me and like cuddling me a little bit too much, getting a little bit too close. And I just wanted like a mother figure, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of just like, I went with it. I was being an idiot, 16 years old. And then
Being young.
eventually she got in so close that she ended up taking my virginity
Mm.
at 17. So that ended up happening. And that spiraled a lot of craziness with the relationship, as like I'm trying to see her as mom, but then she sees me as like this boyfriend or something on the side. And she took control over everything. My dating life, I was non-existent. She tapped my phone. She didn't let me text any girls whatsoever. So my dating life and everything was non-existent. And I had to explain to a lot of my friends, like, yo, like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, sorry, like, and she just had complete control over me. And that was probably one of the, like, even going through the divorce and going through like all that stuff with my dad, that was probably like the hardest thing, was that's sexual stuff. And so it goes on until I'm about, I ended up trying to go to Bible college at 18. I ended up flunking out. I dropped out. I was just messed up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying my best to keep my mask on, but I just couldn't. I needed to get healing rather than trying to step into something that was like, learning about being a worship pastor and stuff. So I
So,
ended up,
wait, I'm sorry, just to
oh, it's
interrupt.
all good.
So, this family that you're with, they introduce you to Jesus
Yes.
and you get saved while in the process of living with them.
Yes.
Um, okay, let's focus on that part right there. Was there
Yes.
something specific that connected with you? Like why did you give your life to Christ?
Yes. So when I gave my life to Jesus, I felt like it was my second chance. After, being completely thrown out by both ends of my father and my mother, I came to learn that I have a father in heaven. And I felt like an orphan. And I know that uh, it was his love and his grace that in his adoption and his, like, he gives orphan sonship that really just like pierced my heart. And I really broke down when I fully grasped that as a teenager, and I ended up giving my life to him.
Okay. So you gave your life to Christ, and then this woman pastor ends up molesting you.
Yeah,
How does that affect your relationship with Christ? Because they introduced you to him. I would think
yeah,
there would be that would like really mess with your head and your connection with him.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, it messed me up with my faith, and I was questioning God, like why would you allow the same people that brought me to Christ put me through this? And he said, I need you to trust me and not man. I need you to trust that I cover all sin with my love, including that one, and to not trust your own understanding. And it took me a long time to really truly grasp that. It took me a couple years actually to really grasp that, to not put my trust into, I mean, I got trust issues already, but like learning just like I'm supposed to follow the person of Jesus, not the person who follows Jesus. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And because people, like when we're walking in a very windy road. Jesus stays very straight, very narrow. So I try my best to just keep my eyes on him through all that. Um, so yeah,
So the whole time that you're in the household, then until you attempt to go to Bible college, you were being molested by this woman.
yeah.
So you go to Bible college, you flunk out, you realize that you need healing. How did you
hmm
receive that healing?
So I realized that you know I flunked out, realized I need healing. I go back to the people,
Mhm.
and I ended up living with them. That I was broken that I dropped out, because in the midst of dropping out, like I was drinking a lot during my time in Bible college, and I actually ended up getting into a fist fight while I was in Bible college,
Mhm.
and I ended up coming back home, and one of my friends from childhood dies in like a bike accident. And I'm just like, bro, like what is going on right now? And I allow her to get back in again. And I ended up like resisting it and trying my best to get out of it multiple times. I started working at this place out in Grants Pass. Y'all know what Starbucks is. I started working at Starbucks, and I go on my first tour. I'm making music in the midst of all this. I go on my first tour. This is where I met Zay Hill and Curtis Hoppy. Shout out to them if they're watching. But I ended up touring with them, and got connected with Zay. And Zay is actually one of the first people that I confessed to, um, that was going on.
Mhm.
And then I ended up feeling really good about that I told him. And so I ended up confessing to the people I was working with at work,
Yeah.
at Starbucks. And my manager was like, bro, we got to get you out of there. And so they ended up like moving me out. But my Starbucks money couldn't maintain an apartment. I was living in my car for a hot minute, for like a good month in my car. And I ended up going back to the same people. Um, and this is when I'm like 19. I just turned 20. So I'm 20 years old. I come back. Zay comes back, and we record an album. It was super trash. It was super trash, but it was so fun because like that's where like the brotherhood
Mhm.
really like started on that tour, and when he came out to record this album. And he moved me out of that house probably multiple times till we couldn't figure out where to go. So we kept on going back, and there was fights in the middle of the night where we literally dipped out, moved my whole room with my buddy Antonio and Zay, and came back because we had nowhere to go. And so I ended up eventually leaving that household with a little bit of a messed up relationship. I kind of dove into it, I ended up living with this girl, um, and it was just kind of like a stepping stone to get where I needed to go. I ended up just kind of dipping out on that family. I living with this girl. She has a kid. It's not my kid. She's like 8 years old, and I realized like in like a month, or yeah, it was about a month living with this girl, that I am not ready to be a stepfather.
Yeah.
And so really rough breakup happens, and I was just like, where do I go now? And I was just like asking God, like, God, like, please just get me out of this town. I was crying. I was just like, I was drowning in alcohol. I even did. I was smoking weed at the time too. I was on nicotine. I was doing. I even did cocaine one time when I was like with this woman, and I
The
was just.
pastor was
I was
doing
just.
cocaine. She was doing lines of cocaine and molesting you.
Yeah. Wait, what?
So the pastor was doing lines.
No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
oh,
This is after I moved in with
okay.
this
This is
chick.
the woman who was the 8-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I ended up moving away from her, and I got a blessing, like a sum of money, like I think it was like $1,000. And I hit up one of my friends that lived out in Portland. I met him in Bible college. I was like, hey, bro, like I heard that you need roommates. And he was living out in Vancouver. And he's like, yes, bro, like, can you get up here? And I was like, yes, I can. And so I ended up moving up there. And
To
I
Canada.
go through, yeah, I ended up going through a really depressing phase, like with the breakup, with moving away from everything. I ended up coming where I reconciled my relationship with my dad during this time. And I spent my 21st birthday with him. The alcohol really got to him, and he ended up passing away during the transition. And so I'm out here in Vancouver now, mourning the loss of my father, mourning the loss of a girlfriend that I soul tied with, and mourning the loss of a family that I was with for about like 7 years, or like six years. And so I ended up almost killing myself. Spirit of suicide came over me. I let it grip my soul, and I almost took my life one night. And God spoke audibly to me that night. And this is where like my true surrender really began. He's like, Robbie, I have a purpose for you that is way beyond just this. Like there is more to live for. You are my son. I love you. And I'm sorry that this happened to you, but I promise you, just don't do this. And I heard that like with my ears almost as I was getting ready to overdose myself. And at that moment, I just cried, and I fell to my knees, and I just begged God for forgiveness for everything that I did. And I started going to this church called Activate out in Washougal, Washington. And that's where I really, really got healing. That's where I really, really understood what grace truly meant, because they really took me in as I was. The youth pastor there, he took me in under his wing. His name is Sean. Sean, if you're watching this, I love you, bro. He took me in under his wing. He discipled me. He listened to every single phone call. He replied to like every single text of mine when I was struggling. And that whole church really just embraced me. And during that time, I was really just like receive, like I was learning how to receive love and receive what it's like to have like a church family, like a real church family, not like a fake one that I was living with. And I was like, God, like I'm tired of relationship, like dating relationships. Like I don't want to have a woman like for the next 5 years, you're like, I want to be yours and I want you to be mine. And after I said that, like 2 weeks later, my future wife comes into my life
Okay.
as I'm as I'm, you know, beginning to sanctify myself and like purify my soul. And she comes in, and we just are on talking terms and we're friends, and I'm really trying my best to, you know, get grounded in the word at the time. And so we just started doing Bible plans back and forth. And I ended up we ended up getting evicted out of that apartment. And I move in with like a new family that actually really took me in for real, and they actually loved on me with nothing in return. And it was just like, it was beautiful. And that was like the first time I really experienced family love.
Mm.
And Val became my girlfriend. I started working a job. I started recording more. I started feeling so much more full. And even though I was just, you know, like living in the garage, it was still like so cool. Like I was like 22, you know, but I ended up proposing to Val after I saved us some money. I was working pest control, and the rest is kind of like history.
Okay. So, how did what you experienced with that family, how did
Mm-hmm.
that affect your relationship with Val?
Yeah, so it was really tough on Val when I confessed to her about that whole scenario. I made sure to do it like pretty early in our relationship, just to kind of get it out there. You know, I didn't want anything to really be holding us back. I didn't want any secrets. We value honesty, and so I just let it out one day, and she cried, and she still at times has a hard time forgiving, you know, the people that did that to me
Yeah.
with right reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely messes with our relationship a little bit, but I feel like we're thriving over that, and we're just leaving the past as the past, and we're looking ahead to what's in our future. So
And your friend, whose
mhm.
mom it was, did that affect your relationship with him?
Yeah, I don't talk to any of them anymore. The people that I called brother, the people that I called sister, the nieces and nephews that they had, I don't talk to them anymore.
And I just have to know, is she still pastoring?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't really
Yeah.
kept tabs on them. It's been a few years since everything's been cut off. I'm 24 now, and I cut them off at 21. So it's
I'm so
been
sorry you
about
have
3 years.
to experience that. Like,
Oh,
nobody should have to experience that,
yeah.
especially
Well,
someone who's supposed to be,
right.
reflecting the image of God.
It's one of those things that unfortunately happens more than we know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It definitely does. So, thank you for sharing this, because
Yeah, of
there are
course.
plenty of people that this will resonate with. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, it also just needs to be known.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get married. How long did you guys date before you got married?
We dated for a year before we got
And
engaged. And the reason why we dated so long, I was ready to
that was so long.
cover.
One
I
year was so long.
it was long for me, okay? It was long because I
Yeah,
just knew like a couple months of dating this girl, I was just like, I'm gonna marry this woman.
yeah.
And like she's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Um, and we were doing some like premarital or like pre-engagement counseling with my youth pastor, and he was kind of putting the pressure on me. He's like, bro, you got a dime, you cannot play around. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know. And he's like, you got to drop on a knee. And I'm like, man, we're only a couple months in, like. And so we pushed off. I pushed off getting engaged to her until she um until like a year. And then we pushed off getting married until she graduated from college with her bachelor's in marketing. And so that was like, our engagement lasted for about 9 months.
Okay.
So,
And then you guys end up moving from the West to
mm-hmm.
Atlanta.
Yep. Yep. Ackworth, to be more specific, but nobody knows where Ackworth is. So
You're in
I
the
just say
Atlanta
Atlanta.
area.
Yeah, Atlanta area.
And how are you liking the move, and how's it for you guys?
It was honestly awesome. We didn't fly out here, we drove.
Oh,
So it was really cool. Uh, we had a COVID wedding, and since we couldn't travel outside the country, we were like, how are we gonna have our honeymoon? And I was like, let's drive. Let's just drive across the country and camp out at some places, rent some Airbnbs. Like, let's go see like the United States.
yeah.
And she was like, let's do it. And so we ended up going on like a whitewater rafting trip out in Spokane. We went through Montana, um, like North Dakota, which was the most boring drive ever, but it was still fun. We went to Six Flags out in St. Louis. We got to see a lot of really cool stuff. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that you guys were like freshly married during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. So June 27th, it was when we got married in 2020. So we're coming up on a year.
Okay, so you're still newlyweds.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
And how would you say God's presence looks like in your life personally outside of the music?
Oh my gosh, it's never been better. Since I'm, like put into a role of I can make my own decisions. I am the leader of my household, um, and me being able to just kind of write my own schedule. I've been trying to engage with God first contact right in the morning. I've been talking to God every single moment I can. It's like I even then I still feel like I want to just lock in with him more, just trying to like learn more about him and read his word and just understand what it's truly like to be just in his presence. And it's just there's nothing better. There's nothing better than being in the presence of God. I love where me and God are at right now. It's honestly, I can say it's the best that it's ever been.
Okay.
So,
And we're going to move forward to hot topics, what's trending on Twitter right now.
all right, sweet.
And one of them, we have hashtag Marshmallow, the artist. So
Mm-hmm.
Marshmallow and Major Lazer are trending for the Fortnite bundles. I,
Okay.
the Fortnite bundle was updated, and people are excited about that. And so
I'm so trash at Fortnite.
I don't even play video games. I just
Yeah.
know I know that it's a popular game, and Travis Scott is involved as well. But would you agree that the success of an artist's career isn't based solely on music sales or streams anymore? Because you have like product placements and video
Yeah.
games.
Oh yeah, 100%. It takes a whole brand and all kinds of streams of revenue to build the foundation of an artist. It's not just the streams. It's not just what you get on Spotify anymore. It's your presence on social media. It's your presence on Instagram specifically. Like IG kind of rules the whole social media right now. And the product placements, as far as like video games go, I see a lot of rappers like getting like huge endorsement deals with these video games, like such as Fortnite. And it's such a poppin' thing with like Gen Z and stuff. And so they're kind of, yeah, they're definitely making a bag off that. And yeah, I honestly think it's dope. I love the fact that you can, work your business in different avenues as a musician, with, sync licensing through movies, through TV, acting. There's so many different things you can do as a creative. And ever since the internet has really taken over, I think that an artist can really take so many different avenues and still be successful. It's not just one way, make it or break it type deal with the record labels. It's honestly, it's given everybody a fair chance, a fair fighting chance to actually make a living off of what they love. And I love it, honestly. I think it's super dope.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you never 10, 20 years ago, you never would have even thought about artists being involved in video games. Like
Right. That's so crazy.
different revenues that are opening up. And I mean, like, we may never get another Rihanna album. 'Cause
Right. Oh my gosh, that's crazy to think.
yeah.
Yeah, for real.
I mean,
Sheesh.
yeah. She has other things going on.
Yeah,
Who needs music?
right.
Unless you're just doing it purely for the joy of music. But
Exactly.
if you're trying to
Yeah,
build and you're just focused on the music or on money, then the rest of us fans just have to wait.
I know, right? For real.
So when it came to your music start, you said that you jumped on that tour with Zay. How did that even
Yes.
come about? Because you just started talking about rapping in a trailer and kind of building up from there. So how do you go from like writing lyrics in a trailer to going on tour with another artist?
Yes. So I developed my following in high school.
Mm.
I was doing a lot of like rap battles and stuff and doing a lot of freestyling and circles, and my name started getting thrown around a little bit. I wasn't good, but they just loved the fact that I was just like open and confident about it. And I ended up finding the most bootleg studio I could get, and I started recording. And I started reaching out to different people I knew through church and stuff, through different churches actually, some sound guys and like music teachers that were working at the other school that I went to, and so I ended up connecting with them and making a mixtape. And the mixtape is nowhere to be found. Y'all are not gonna find it. And it was super bad. But I ended up throwing a release show where like around 200 people showed up to. And I
Okay.
was just grinding so hard, like to get like the flyers printed, to get like these different little cards handed out. I promoted it around my school. Like I was literally like my own street team. And
Mm.
so I was making sure that everybody knew about the show. And I threw the release party got so much traction, it ended up on the newspaper. And that was literally not from talent. Like I was not very talented back then. It was all just like hustle and just grinding to get people to where, I wanted to have the release show. And so after I did that, I started trying to shoot some things over to Rapzilla. They denied it, and I understand. But I ended up actually connecting with this producer, and we met at the YMCA at this gym, and we were working out. And he was listening to music and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, what's good?" Like, because he was like playing basketball and stuff. And he's like, "Hey," and we got connected, and we ended up figuring out like both of us do music, so we started making music together. And I dropped a record with him that actually was pretty decent, decent enough to end up on the local radio station in my city. And so I started getting a buzz around that single. And then I was getting ready to drop like an EP. But during that time, I was just on social media, kind of just like trying to connect with a lot of people. And I ended up connecting with Curtis Hoppy. He used to be known as Triple Three.
Mm.
Um, Way back, like in 2016, he was known as Triple Three. I was known as Robbie Jr. at the time. And so I learned from this dude called Manifest to ask artists to buy onto their tour. And
Mm.
so me being as bold as I can, just super hungry, I saw that Curtis was throwing a tour, and I was like, bro, can I buy onto this? This is coming through my way, and I can land us a show on the tour. And he's like, yeah, bro, let's do it. And it just so happens that Zay was on that tour too. And since me and Zay were the youngest cats on that tour, we ended up in the back of the van. And so we were just chopping it up the whole time. The tour lasted for like a solid month. And me and him became like best friends through that whole thing. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Good story.
Yeah.
So, you finished the tour, and I mean, how do you get from the tour to where you are now? Like, just constantly releasing singles, and
Yeah.
your production is is fire as
Thank you.
well. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
2016 into 2017, we made the album. We started getting connected with more and more artists. We started getting more momentum. We dropped this single called Ghostwriter that actually did pretty well. It showed up on a couple radio stations. I did not know about PROs during that time, so I did not make the bag off that. I kind of dropped the ball. But it got played on a radio station in my city in Nebraska. It was it was trending a little bit. And I ended up realizing video is what's killing it. Um, Being present on YouTube is killing it. And so I started trying to get as many videos as I could. And through the transition of, going from Grants Pass to Vancouver and stuff, like I kind of lost the momentum a little bit, but I started gaining it back up again. And I realized, I read a book pretty recently called It's All in Your Head by Russ. And he dropped 11 records and saw absolutely no like push
Mm.
whatsoever. And then he's like, the first song of each of these albums is getting the most plays. I need to just continue to drop singles. So he started dropping singles every week. And so that he dropped a single every week for a whole year, and he added visuals to as many as he could. And he said his TuneCore earnings went from like 600 a month to 100,000
Oh,
within that year. And I'm kind of just like adopting that that methodology and placing it into my artwork. And as you can see, like I got my studio in here. I don't have to. I can do everything from my house. I keep the lights on in here making sure that I'm practicing in my gym as much as possible, because like people's attention spans are small nowadays. You got to keep up. And so that's why I ended up transitioning into dropping way more content than I used to. So
so this week you're dropping Revenge, which by the
yes,
time this album or this interview comes out, it would have been out. But this is the song where you tell the story of the family that you lived with.
yes,
Not why you said you were afraid to kind of release it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely, I've not spoken on it really. I've given little hints here and there in a couple tracks like No Ceiling. I talked about I live with another family, but the mother was messed up. She wanted something romantic, so I had to dip out. I'm finally patched up. When I said that, I was kind of hinting towards it,
Okay.
but something in me was saying like, because I work at FedEx and I be in like trucks moving boxes every day, right? And I keep on thinking in my head, like there's just a voice in my head, like like a revenge voice, like I want to go like after these people like lawfully.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I completely have the right to, and some people would,
Yeah.
um, I felt like God told me to just let it go.
Yeah.
And so my way of releasing um, that like feeling was through this record.
Okay.
So
So you get your revenge on the track and then keep it moving.
yeah, that's how I let it out. That's probably the healthiest way,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go on to the 4 song breakdown where
Hmm.
the artist recites or raps a verse and discusses what's going
Hmm.
on between the lines of the song story. So for you, I selected Expectations, No Ceilings, Like Tom, and Soda and Vodka.
Yes.
Would you mind starting with Expectations?
Yes. All right. So expectations. I'm living up to expectations. Stay working hard while they complacent. Not a legend yet, but I feel adjacent. Whoa. Me saying that line, do you want me to break it down and stuff line by line? Or do you want
You
me
can
to just
just go
rap the
ahead
whole
and
verse?
recite it and then break it down if you want.
Okay,
You.
cool. All right. Not a legend yet, but I feel adjacent. Whoa. Oh, shoot. Station. About to buy a house, setting up them agents. Money going up when I check them statements. Whoa, I got that energy, leaving my enemies look like some betas. I know the alpha, I know the omega. Oh, sorry, wifey's calling me. 1 second here. 1 second here. Hold up. There we go. Am I still on here? Extend the screen out a little real quick. Sorry for the interruptions and stuff.
It's all good.
All right. Wait, why is it small like this? Okay. I got that energy, making my enemies look like some betas. I know the alpha, I know the omega. A family guy, but I treat you like Megan. Think you got sauce and you sadly mistaken. I've been A1 with the eggs and the bacon. Start my day off at 3:30, put work and get dirty. My journey a plaque in the making. Remember blood stains on the carpet. 21 evicted from apartments. I ain't had no money for a garment. Soldiered up, I'm looking like a sergeant. Picking off a demon from a mile, Chris Cow type marksman. Dead out with the red, I promise you don't want to start. Said I've been a Jedi, so you bet I'm skywalking. Yes, I never been nice on a beat when I'm talking, but honestly, I'm a pretty chilling person. So the whole essence of that track, that record, was basically stating I'm living up to my expectations. I'm living up to what I feel like is God's expectations. And it's it took me a little bit to get to where I'm at right now. And I see a lot of younger artists coming up, but I feel like I'm in my spot. I feel like I'm in my my zone. I feel like I'm in my, my flow of things finally. And so I ended up kind of just like letting people know like I'm here to stay. I did a little bit of wordplay with think you got sauce and you sadly mistaken. I've been A1 with the eggs and the bacon. That was a little double entendre. Stay working hard while they complacent. I was referring to me waking up at 3:45 every day to go grind over at FedEx, so I can get off early and come here and work. And not a legend yet, but I feel adjacent means I'm not known and I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm just waiting for the world to kind of catch up. So there's a sense of confidence in that. So
Okay. And no ceilings?
yes, no ceiling. I ain't got no ceiling. I ain't got no ceiling. I dropped out of college, still ain't got no ceiling. Both my parents left me, still ain't got no ceiling. I did not come up wealthy, still ain't got no ceiling. I ain't got no ceiling. I ain't got no ceiling. And I repeat that chorus twice, I believe. And then this for the ones that doubted. You're my sons, you grounded. I had to climb that mountain away from the public housing. You really thinking that you could belittle me saying that I cannot do this? I hate to break it to you, but I'm focused on dollars. I don't need your 2 cents. Shout out to the welfare checks that have kept me fed while my mom did meth. Oh, shoot. We couldn't pay that rent. Any place we went got evicted then. Oh, shoot. I had a shot at living with another family, but the mother was messed up. She wanted something romantic, so I had to dip out and finally patched up. So the essence of that track is basically me saying, I've been through a lot. And a lot of people will try to limit you and put, this is your ceiling. Like this is where your potential lies. But I completely disapprove and disbelieve that, because I know what God put inside of me. And so I was basically stating to both the enemies in my head and people that have doubted me in the past, I don't have a ceiling. So
Right on. And like Tom.
like Tom. So this was based on like the Super Bowl. I just felt inspired to do that one.
Okay.
So it was like, future looking so bright like super. Nova my lane look lunar. I should have got here sooner, but I don't quit like losers. Y'all shoot like stormtroopers. Y'all shoot like stormtroopers. I'm running up my viewers. Fans and they real consumers. Some of y'all grow like tumors. All bots and they not real users. Should start with the fake maneuvers. Y'all flock to the cloud, that's humor. Y'all funny. I hit up Wally World when I get drip. I'm trying to save up to buy me a crib, letting it go popping off of the hip every week. Oh yeah, I think I forgot it a little bit. What serving the Lord like I'm working for tips. I be expecting, tithing and saving in net hit investments, then give it back to him so he could bless it. And then it goes and hits the hook. Like Tom, I drop bombs and then I get rest. Wake up the next day, go put in the reps. Y'all knockoffs can't pop off, better head to the bench. Man, I saw way too much, can't settle for less. So that track is just essentially taking that GOAT mentality and putting it into your life, even though we may not be at the same level as Tom Brady or, Kobe Bryant. Like, you still got to have that mentality. Like, I'm going to make it. I am gonna shoot through the roof. It's kind of like a no ceiling type deal. But just kind of like more of a motivational, relaxed version of it. But yeah, that's like Tom. That's the essence of like Tom.
Okay. And then lastly, Soda and Vodka featuring 350.
Yes. All right. Need that De Niro, commas and zeros. I got my savior, don't need any heroes. Mama in Reno, by the casinos. I'm in Atlanta, just losing my ego. I got some problems. I want Nirvana. Swerve and surrender, but know that I gotta. Soda and vodka, I need some water. Praying I don't end up dead like my father. Oh man, shaking up hands. Stacking up bands, all a part of the plan. No TikTok dance. I go off for the fans. When I'm off for the gram, I go talk to the fam. There's not no chance you could take what I work for. Can't ride my wave with a surfboard. That ship sailed when I beg for support more. Got big talk, but it's all a dang folklore. That hook was an embodiment of the struggle of alcoholism that I kind of deal with every once in a while. I'll occasionally drink, and I'm learning more and more that moderation is key. And I came out of like a heavy party background, so I'm learning more and more that moderation is key. Trying my best to kind of just like stay sober and stay away from it completely. But that was kind of just me being open and transparent and just being like, I struggle with this. And in my verse, I actually talk about people not really accepting people being vulnerable and being real, because I noticed like even in church nowadays, people will walk in with masks and they feel very nervous and very scared to talk about what they struggle with. And I feel like if we were to just put down our mask and our judgment and just be open and real and honest, our church would be so much more healthier. Because a lot of these scandals, a lot of these things that are going on, we see people fall. It's because of lack of accountability. It's because lack of, they're nervous, they're fearful of the judgment that is going to be put on them. But as believers in Christ, we are called to be a graceful unit and accept these people. So I was just completely open on that track, and just wanted to address, honesty and humility in it. So
Yeah. I mean, also because with your parents, then you have like addiction runs in your family or it's in your bloodline.
yeah.
So, is that something you feel like you struggle with or have the possibility of struggling with addiction, or moderation is good for you?
So yeah, I honestly, I do have a little bit of an addictive personality. Like both of my parents
Mhm.
are, like my dad is like gone because of it.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely don't, I stay away from like binging alcohol. I will drink it occasionally. just as like kicking it with friends or
Yeah.
something. I definitely try my best, like not to go over the top, but I definitely don't uh, do it as a crutch anymore. I definitely have left that behind 100%. And it's one of those things that I believe that I'll, eventually just completely leave. But as of right now, I don't see any harm that it's really doing to me if I'm, remaining sober minded.
Yeah.
So,
So, and I mean, you were right about like the church basically,
hmm
for the most part, just being full of cappers. Like everyone's trying to put on a
hmm
front and not
yeah,
keep it real and honest. And that's how you end up in situations like yourself being raised by this family who's totally taking advantage of you, but yet
right.
preaching Jesus at the same time because
hmm
they're just not being real. And obviously, that woman has some healing she needs to do because only God knows what happened to her to,
right.
do that act on you. But I mean, it's a good message that you're saying. Like everyone, regardless of being in a church or not, transparency is key. It's really the
hmm
key to healing, and
It really is.
accountability. Yeah.
Right. I believe that 100%. And that's why like confession and just like being just letting it go, you feel that weight lift off of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel that sense of freedom and that burden lifted off of your shoulders. That's why when I recorded this last track, um I felt like buoyant. I felt like I was glowing. I felt just this, like my heart wasn't, like squeezing anymore. And I honestly, after I recorded that track, I can honestly tell you that I have not had any thoughts of revenge like while I'm working.
Okay.
Because I do like I still get in my head sometimes. Everybody gets in their head, but I really don't have those thoughts of like going after them and suing them and doing wanting to get even. So when we're as Pastor Mike Todd would say, hot, honest, open, and transparent, there's true healing. And I will continue to display that message throughout my music career. That's why God gave me the name Raw B. It's because I'm supposed to be raw. I'm supposed to be real, authentic, and just open, no matter what's going on.
And
So
also, because your name is Robbie.
yeah, and because my name is Robbie.
So, how does God's presence look like in your life musically?
So God is definitely behind the lyrics that I'm writing. He is. I make sure to ask him for guidance before every studio session, even before hopping into this call, because I'm honestly I'm a dummy without him. I'm an idiot. I make mistakes, and I need him to the fullest. However, I am not making music for the church. I feel like God has called me to make music from the church to the world. And since God called me out of the world and put me into his kingdom, I believe that I'm supposed to make something that is palatable to bridge the gap between secular and sacred music. That's just the lane I've been called to. Some people say that you're watering it down. A lot of people tell me that, hey, bro, I listen to a lot of secular music, but I've been listening to your music a lot more. And that is the ultimate goal for me, to make something palatable for a non-believer to listen to and just be like, I give them just a kind of like what Ruslan said with like eating an avocado. He used to hate avocados till he tried guacamole in a burrito.
Hmm.
You got to give God, like God is like an avocado, like make it, I'm trying to make it palatable to bridge that gap so they can walk over and hear a Lecrae and hear a Zay Hill, hear a Holvey that is, just like very outspoken about their faith. And if I can help bridge that gap, Even if I do take some backlash, I will always count it as worth it in the end. And I have been seeing the fruits of that, because people have texted me like, bro, like I only listen to secular music, or like I only listen to, this and this, and they're all mainstream artists, but I listen to your music. So it's honestly one of those things that was a goal of mine since the beginning. So that's definitely where God is in my music.
Sweet. All right. And my final question is, now that you've gone through this whole interview, who would you like to see me interview on the show? Whose testimony would you like to hear?
Oh, I gotta put my boy Zay on blast.
Okay.
Zay Hill, 100%. That man has a beautiful testimony, a beautiful story. He's a great guy. My best friend. I can honestly call him my brother. Yeah, definitely put Zay Hill on this interview. You're a fantastic interviewer, by the way. I was honestly very nervous coming in. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, definitely interview him if you get a chance to interview. Who else? Who else? Let's see here. Have you interviewed 350 yet?
No, I actually interviewed Holvey, and that was his recommendation was 350.
Yeah, 350 is a really cool dude. Big Breeze as well, very solid dude. I connected with him out here. He's actually one of the first people I connected with. Zay Hill, Big Breeze, 350, and Ray Knowledge. Those all three of those guys or four of them are very solid. Sorry, my math is terrible. Yeah, they are definitely super solid people. I know them personally. I actually haven't met 350, but I have gone back and forth with him chatting. I have his phone number and stuff. But he's just a solid dude. Big Breeze, solid dude. And Ray Knowledge, I've actually kicked it with him multiple times. And yeah, he's super down to earth as well. So yeah, definitely hit up those guys.
Awesome. Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for watching the show. However you consume us, thank you. Please subscribe to the show. And if you really enjoy the content, please leave a review. It really does help with the ranking of the show. And if you want to go an extra mile, share the show, share this episode. And for all things testimony, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Gilika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.